Salam alaikum con la buena noche. I'm going to read a little bit here concerning Palo Mayombe cosmology. I won't be reading too much tonight like I always do. I read a little bit, give you guys a little insight, maybe get you guys a little bit, you know, something to probably incite you to either buy the book or do more research. If you don't have the book, it's not expensive. You can find it at any of these places where they sell books of this nature and others. We're going to start with Palo Mayombe Cosmology. He who swears to God has also sworn to the devil. Here we go. There is no devil per se in Palo Mayombe, but a cosmic antagonism that unfolds in war and agitation as the energy behind movement. There are the two faces of Nsambi, his night and his day. You cannot have the day without the night, and otherness is always around us, like an invisible mirror leading to the land of death and ancestry. It is this metaphysical principle that is the taproot of Palo Mayombe. This binary pull within Nsambi also carries the historical memory of a heritage torn ruthlessly between the material and the spiritual, effectuating its mutual benefit and its innate harmony. Given the cruel history of Palo Mayombe, it is amazing to see how this movement towards unity and connectedness is still at work. Even if much oral lore has been turned into silence during the crossing, the culture ambivalence from Congo and Angola has served as a flame of continuation and truthful adaptation to a new land. After all, the land, the Entoto, is the field of definition, and as such, Palo Mayombe has stayed true to its roots. The perceived dualities in Palo Mayombe are always reflection of the same cycle, as night is today and day is tonight. And Kuyu is ancestry useful and fertile until the domain of light, and Doki is ancestry. But the veil parts, the night of the ancestors. We all carry these elements within us. They are parts of our unique composition and define our actions. When we transgress and commit violence of miracles, we express Ndoki, the powerful part of ourselves that remain hidden from the light. This can serve for good or ill depending on the social context and the degree of wisdom we exercise. In contemporary Palo Mayombe, a tension bordering on dualism is found in the relationship between Nzambi and Lukankasi. Nsambi is viewed as God, while Lukankasi is viewed as the devil. Amongst the Bakongo, Nsambi was the omnipotent, who revealed himself in a nature and the wood-clad mountains in particular. Hence the domination Palo sticks from the kingdom of Nsambi. Lukankasi, on the other hand, was an impungo of the sky, and given his association with fire, most likely related to the thunderstone and lightning. As such, Lukankasi was in a way the god of night, while Nsambi represented all beauty and fertility under the sun. Again, the dyadic relationship is not a dualism as such, but a recognition that change brings different types of potencies to the forefront of existence. It is not about hierarchy, but about realizing what forces rules specific powers and times, all under the auguries of Nsambi. In this light, we find a most interesting historical event that might have affected the later development of Christian and Jewish prendas. The latter understood to be related to Lukankasi, the spirit of fire, and hence Ndoki in the sense of being evil, like the devil, replicating the Imbangala attitude towards the Christians. This African conflict has its mirror image in the Europe, which might explain the introduction of Jewish as synonymous with bad, and also illuminate the Arabic greeting in Salam Aleikum using Palo Mayombe from yet another angle. Okay, I'm going to stop here real quick. We have to understand that Christians looked at Jews and vice versa. They looked at each other like evil. The Jews didn't believe in Jesus Christ as being the legitimate Son of God or that he was a prophet or anything like this, so they looked at the Christian faith as demonic. And vice versa, the Christians looked at the Jewish faith because they believed that the Jews were the ones who executed Jesus Christ on the cross, yes, by Pontius Pilate because he was the governor, but it was them who were asking for his death and actually said, let his blood be upon us and our children. So history states that they killed them this way. That's why it speaks here about a Christian Nganga. When it says prenda, it's talking about an Nganga, a receptacle, a where this understanding of having a Christian receptacle comes from, and the understanding of having a Jewish receptacle, meaning diabolic receptacle or devil or lukankasi, in that form and in that way. And we stopped here. Okay, I just wanted to explain that real quick for those who don't understand. Considering the historical time, it is worth noting the temporary unification of the Iberian kingdom of Castile and Aragon in 1496 by Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon. This unification was the result of unruly decades beginning with the Moorish invasion in 1002 and finally finding peace under Catholic reign in 1474. We got to remember that the Moorish, which Moors just means people of color, people of a hue, brown, of different shades. But they actually would say black. That's what Moor means, people of color. And they ruled Spain for 700 to 800 years. If you look up the history on the Moorish conquest and of Spain and what they did with the cathedrals and all that. And then as time went by, see the Catholics came back into reign at 1472, and they took down the Moors and they took their cathedrals and changed a lot of the art that the Muslims had established in those cathedrals. But to this day, when you go to Spain and you go to the cathedrals, you can see the Arabic names, and you see a lot of little pieces of Arabic sayings, and the art that the Arabians and these Moors left in Spain. Okay, it says Isabella, the Catholic, was appointed Queen of Castile. A similar succession happened in Aragon until Ferdinand the Catholic married Isabella. In this time frame, we also have the Black Death, which raged though Europe from 1340 until early 19th century. Iberia was the first confronted with the Muslim invasion and then the Jewish curse of the plague, both being equated with something nasty, bad, evil, that is Endoki, a night fire out of control, either by their blackened skin or blackened with disease. These were denizen of evil night. As such, the denomination of unholy prendas being called Jewish could be traced back to the dramatic transformation on the Iberian Peninsula and thus become equated with witchcraft in its worst sense. If this is so, the missionaries managed to color the Congo-inspired faith in such a way that Christianity could be understood to be the primordial syncretism and thus an avenue of understanding more true to the core of Congo spirituality than the latter Yoruba syncretism that happened in the New World. It is my understanding that in the terms of the Congo mission, we are speaking of a synthesis more than a syncretism. The Central African people were taught the ways of Christianity and only permitted a merging where precedence was already established in the spiritual order of Ensambi. This attitude is upheld in the Kimbisa Rama, both the ancient one and the lineage reformed by Andrés Petit de Dolores, or Andrés Petit Facundo, Andrés Facundo de Petit Dolores, I think it is. He comes from a lineage of the Kimbisa. In contemporary Palo Mayombe, it is common to use syncretism more than synthesis. This syncretism is by way of the Yoruba vinculum, where the nature of Orisha is used to explain Mpungo and Nkisi. Both Orisha and Mpungo manifest as natural phenomena, so there is no discrepancy in equating the Mpungo Nsasi and the Orisha Shango with thunder. The problem enters when the stories of Orisha become the stories of Mpungo. The fact that two spirits share the same natural power does not imply a direct fusion. Here enters the ancestral element as defined by the culture and heritage. This is further complicated by the differences in spiritual technology between the Yoruba and the Congo, even more so by the prejudice the Yoruba hold when speaking of their neighbors. This is largely motivated by the complexity of Yoruba metaphysics mirrored against the practical aspiration of the Congo people. Considering the distance, both social and spiritual, between Yoruba people and Congo people, the Christian syncretism is actually more true to the name of Palo Mayombe than the borrowing from Yoruba derived Santeria and Lukumi. I am of the opinion that this syncretism in a Creole faith is understandable and workable, but nevertheless with misleading and ultimately unnecessary. Salam alaikum, malaikum salam. I hope you guys understood. I'm sorry for the mistakes. I tried. Got my glasses on today, but I had to go with what I can. Have yourself a great night. I hope you guys understood. Peace.